This may very well be the last preview until August. Or we do what a lot of people don't think we'll do, and we'll win our first playoff game in 20-something years. What is up, Finn fans? This is it. I've been saying this for 2 weeks now, but this literally is it. If the Miami Dolphins lose on Saturday, tomorrow, well, it depends on when you're watching this, because I'm going to release it as soon as I'm done editing this, and it's currently 12:30 at night. If they lose, they're done. That's it. They go sit on the couch, start getting ready to make some cap casualties and stuff, and get below the cap space and start getting ready for 2024. It is 2024, but I'm talking about the season. This is it. And this is big. And the weather's bad. And it's really going to dictate this game. And if it wasn't for the weather, if they were playing in a dome, I'd probably be way more scared of this game. But we'll talk about the weather and why it doesn't make me as scared. But before I jump into all that, I do have to shout out today's sponsor. And this sponsor reached out to me. I don't know if you guys know about them, but if you don't, you should. They're called Homage. They have some really cool stuff. I popped it up. You can see here they got a ton of Dolphin t-shirts that are really cool. They got some other stuff here as well. I will link their website in the description. Go check them out. Really, really cool stuff. They wanted me to share this with you before our game tomorrow. So if you want, you can go grab yourself some really cool stuff. But I like their throwbacks. They have like Tecmo Bowl stuff, and they got really cool stuff. So go check them out. And Homage, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. So we're going to jump into this Mamma Jam, and we're going to talk now. I want to start with the weather. You're probably like, really, Doug? But I want to start with the weather. And this is what it's going to look like on Saturday. It's going to be cold. 77 degrees during the day. And then at night, down to -8. And the sun sets at 5:17. So it's going to be cold. 13-mile-an-hour winds, a 3% chance of snow, 17% chance of snow during the day. West-northwest winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Low of -8. Bitter cold, generally fair. It's going to be no joke. It's really going to be no joke, and it's something that really changed my perspective on this game. And you'll see as I break everything down and as I go through everything. So first and foremost, we'll do the usual, and we'll jump into the injury report. We start with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they have a long injury report, but everyone's full, from Isaiah Pacheco to Rice to Donovan Smith to L'Jarius Sneed, like Juwan Taylor. They're all full. This is where it matters. Their tackle Wanya Morris is out. Their wide receiver, Ross, is questionable, and Kadarius Toney is questionable. I kind of want Kadarius Toney to play because he has bricks for hands. That's it. That's it for them, and you're probably like, oh, here's the CVS receipt for the Miami Dolphins. No. This is all that matters, because outside of that, we had Eichenberg, Teron Armstead, Devon Achane, Jalen Ramsey, and Tyreek Hill on our injury list, but they're going to play. This is where it matters. And Xavier Howard's out, and we expect him to be out. And your questionables are Deshaun Elliott, Javon Holland, Raheem Mostert, and Jalen Waddle. Now, Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle, they need to play. If they can play, they need to play. It's not we're going to rest them and, because there might not be a next week. We might not go see the Ravens, or it might be another team if the Steelers beat the Buffalo Bills. But there might not be a next week if we don't win this game. So if you are 70%, if you are 80%, if you're 65%, we need you out there. Plain and simple. Now, Raheem Mostert, it's like, in my head, I'm like, do we need him as much as Jalen Waddle? Because we have Achane, we have Brooks, we have Jeff Wilson. But yeah, we need them all. We need Javon Holland. We need Deshaun Elliott. Javon Holland said he was like running at like 80%. I would be surprised if Javon Holland plays this game. With Deshaun Elliott with a calf injury, supposedly he's going to play, but like Javon Holland, I don't see playing this game. I think he'll be inactive. But we need Raheem Mostert and we need Jalen Waddle. It's like you can't be farting around anymore. There is no next week. There is no resting for a better opponent. This is it. We're in the playoffs. This is it. We're in the tournament. Now we're going to look at the breakdown. We're going to look at the Miami Dolphins defense versus Kansas City Chiefs offense first. Now the Dolphins have a top 10 defense. Went down a little bit after, the butt whooping we took against the Ravens. Number 10 defense, 15th in passing, 7th in rushing defense. That's important in this game. Scoring defense, 22nd. Sacks, 3rd. That's important in this game. Third down defense, 20th, and takeaways, 8th. That's going to be important in this game. And then their offense is a total of 9th. Passing offense is 6th. Rushing offense is 19th. That's going to be important in this game. Scoring offense is 15th. Sacks allowed is 2nd. They got a good offensive line, and they have a mobile quarterback. Third down offense is 6th, and their giveaways are 23rd. And that's not good, which means they give the ball away a good amount. So that's not good. And then if we flip it, you see the Miami Dolphins still have the number 1 offense, the number 1 passing offense, the number 6th rushing, 2nd in scoring, sacks allowed 4th. Don't give up a lot of sacks, but we're a very fast offense. Third down offense is 7th, and giveaways is 21st. Much better. And then total defense, they have the 2nd best defense in the NFL. Passing defense is 4th. Rushing defense is 18th. That's going to be big for this game. Scoring defense is 2nd. Sacks is 2nd. That's something we have to look out for. Third down defense is 10th. But their takeaways is 27th. They don't get a lot of turnovers. So again, I'm going to go into this. I'm going to break it down to the 5 things. But this is going to be a run-heavy game. If the winds are as bad as it is, if it's as brittle as it's going to be, this is a game where you just run the ball. And like I showed you, the Dolphins are very good at stopping the run, and they're very good at running the ball. And the Kansas City Chiefs aren't as good at running the ball, and they're not that good at stopping the ball. This is where the Dolphins get a little bit of an edge. Now, if this was in a dome and it was pass on pass, and then, the worry would start to set in, but it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with it being that way. Now we are going to jump over to the PFF aspect of it, and we are going to, a lot of people ask me, where do I find this? You just go to the team. So like I go to the Dolphins, and you just go to lineup, and then you come over here and you choose the team that you want to see the matchup against. And this is our offense versus their defense. You got Waddle and Hill. We need Waddle out there. If we're passing, we need Waddle out there. Got Braxton here, Durham Smythe, Robert Hunt's going to be back. So we got 3 of our 5 starting offensive linemen, which is going to be important because Jones is going to be a problem. Now you see the safeties for the Chiefs. They're not great, but they're not bad. You see like Noddy and you see Gay, and these aren't even like Dana and Karlaftis aren't nowhere near Jones. Now, McDuffie's a good corner, and Snead is a decent corner, but if we can have both of our receivers out there, it's going to be huge. We got the 4th best quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. We got the 5th best running back in Raheem Mostert. We need to run the ball, preferably this way. Wherever Jones is lined up, just run the opposite way of him. And we might not run it up the middle. I always want to, but it seems like the outside zones are where we can do it because of who we got on the interior. And then when we flip it onto our defensive side, their interior of their offensive line is good. It's good. Exterior is not so good. Wide receivers aren't too great. Obviously, their main target is going to be Kelsey. Rice is still a big problem there. Kader Kohu is a problem for us. Is Holland playing? Is Elliott playing? We still have our interior guys, Justin Houston. Hopefully he can make a quick impact. Eli Apple, to me, is a little bit of a liability, but we'll see if he can bounce back. But you got Mahomes and you got Pacheco. You got David Long. You got Duke Riley. These guys are good run-stopping linebackers. That's where it matters. Now we are going to go into the 5 things the Miami Dolphins need to do if they want to beat this Kansas City Chiefs team. and win their first playoff game in 22 years, I think it is now. Now, like I say, and every time I do this, it's no specific order. It's just I was doing a lot of research. This is a very important game, and I just started writing things down. Now, number one on the list, there are other receivers. The season is over. We're not, even if the notion was to try to get Tyreek to 2K, it's not going to happen. The season's over. If we're going to throw the ball, there's other guys out there. Now, if we're going to throw the ball, I don't expect, especially in this weather, for deep shots to happen. I don't expect, far down the field, any of that stuff to happen. I really expect probably end arounds, quick slants, bubble screens from both teams because of what the weather's going to be like. So I think it's going to be a real defensive line, situation. And that's where our corners, hopefully Ramsey can get, if we can get pick sixes on our defense and if we can get the ball, that's huge. That's going to be ginormous. But if we're going to throw the ball, target other people. Now, with the Miami Dolphins, Tua has thrown 560 times. 171 of the targets went to Hill, 104 went to Waddle, and then 43 went to Durham Smythe. So there was like a 30 hold on. There was a 67 my brain, a 67 target difference between Hill to Waddle, and then from Waddle to Smythe was huge. And I was looking, I was like, is the disparity that big on other teams when it comes to targeting your number one receiver? So I looked at the Dallas Cowboys, where Dak threw it for 590 times. He targeted CeeDee Lamb 181 times. The second receiver or pass catcher that he targeted was their tight end Ferguson 102 times. There kind of is a big discrepancy when targeting number one receivers. Now, I didn't look at Jamar Chase. I didn't look, Stephon Diggs kind of fell off. I didn't look at other teams, but I wanted to be like, is it that bad with other teams? And it kind of is. But in this situation in the playoffs, use Tyreek Hill as a decoy. Use him as a go double, triple team Tyreek. I'm going to start hitting Craycraft. I'm going to start hitting Barrios. I'm going to start hitting Cedric. I'm going to start hitting Durham up the seam. The game plan should be don't force feed Hill anymore. It should be look at Hill, but don't throw to Hill. That's my personal, but if he's open, throw it to him. I'm not going to be one for, hey, why'd you throw it to him, blah, blah, blah. If he can get open and if he's open, hit him. Throw it to him. Supposedly after practice today for me, yesterday for you, or depending on when you're watching this on Thursday, he stayed late after practice on the jug machine, which thank God, because he's been slacking in the catching department. So number one, there's other receivers on the team. Number two, we have to stop the run. This is going to be a cold game. This is going to be a windy game. This is a game where you run the ball. This is playoff football. You're going to run the ball and run it hard. Now, the Miami Dolphins are 27th in the NFL yards per attempt with 3.8. They are 26th in the NFL in yards per game, 97.1, and 26th in the NFL in yards on rushing. The Dolphins have a pretty good rushing defense. We stopped Cooks. They didn't get a lot of the guys that we faced that had big games rushing. When they came and faced the Dolphins defense, their first priority was shutting down the run, and we were actually pretty good at that, minus the beginning of the season. So good. Shut down the run and then force them, especially if this is a game where the wind is that bad and the conditions are that bad that this isn't a passing game. Then it feeds into the Dolphins' strength where we are good at shutting down the run. So shut down the run and then force Patrick Mahomes to do something with his arm, and hopefully he makes mistakes in this weather condition. Number three thing on the list, speaking of Mahomes, you need to contain that man. He is the second on the team with 389 rushing yards. Pacheco is number one with 980. But he can run. He's got legs. He'll get the first down. Now, is he Josh Allen? Is he Lamar Jackson? No, not necessarily. But he can still do it, and he's still mobile, and you need to contain him. Force him to beat you with his arm, which he also can do. He is very good at that. Now, the Miami Dolphins are 27th 27th in the NFL in blitz percentage with 21.5%. So they don't blitz. There's only 5 teams ahead of them or blitz less than the Dolphins do, but they are 4th in pressure percentage with 26.2, and they are 3rd in sacks, and they are number 1 in quarterback hits with 140. So we don't blitz a lot. We barely blitz, but we'll get after you. So you need to contain Patrick Mahomes. Number 4 thing on my list, run the ball. You have 3 good running backs. Against the Buffalo Bills, both of our running backs had over 5 yards per carry. Devon Achane has a ridiculous yards per carry because of how productive he is. The Kansas City Chiefs did not get to face Devon Achane because he was hurt. Run the ball. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs blitzed 7th most in the NFL, 32.9%. They're 2nd in pressure percentage, 27.8%, and they're 2nd in sacks, and 57%. You know how you negate that? You run the ball. Then they can't get after you, and then play action starts baiting because all of a sudden these guys have to start to double guess, are they running or throwing it? The Kansas City Chiefs are 8th in the NFL in yards per attempt, 4.5. They are 15th in yards per game, 113.2. Gotta run the ball. In my personal opinion, you want to win this game, you have to run the ball. You have to run the ball like 40 times. I want 40 attempts. I gave you guys a stat a few weeks ago where if they're 24, let me see if I can find it, 24 times they run the ball, they have like a great record. I think it was against the Ravens game that I wrote that down. Or maybe it was the Bills game. But they have to run the ball, especially if you're in these conditions. Yeah, if we attempt 26 or more rushing attempts, we're 9-1. If we have 24 or less rushing attempts, we're 2-4. Run the ball. Run it. 30, 40 times. You have 3 good running backs and get them each like 10 attempts, 15 attempts. Run the ball, especially, and I'll say it again, if it is -5 to -10 degrees with crazy wind and you're not able to kick field goals, so you have to go for 2-point conversions, and it is blisteringly cold, you need to run the ball. Speaking of run the ball, my 5th and final thing on the list is run the ball. Run the ball. It's that simple. You have no idea why we're 9-1 when we run the ball 25 or more times. It opens up so much. You saw it in the first half against the Bills where the linebackers were just biting on the play action, and Tua was just dropping it over them to the wide receivers, to Cedric, to Tyreek. They just kept biting on it. And then we run the ball. Then we would get a big 15-yard run, then play action. You have to run the ball. It is imperative you run the ball. So, what do I think of this game? Like I said, a record low, -5 degrees, possibly. Last low record, or the coldest game we played at before this one, was the Kansas City Chiefs. It was 10 degrees. It was in 2008, and we won 38-31 with Chad Pennington, and we ended up winning the division that year. Unfortunately, we didn't win that this year. And a lot of people are looking at Tua Tagovailoa and saying he can't play in the cold. He can't do it in the cold. He can't do it in the snow. He's not good in these types of conditions. Now, the best I can give you stat-wise, and this is the coldest game Tua played in, was at Buffalo last year. It was 29 degrees. It was snowing. Tua went 17 for 30, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 104 passer rating. That's pretty good. And in this game, that'll win you the game. We just need to play smart football. Like, just play smart football. No turnovers, no fumbles, no punt returns, no penalties to kill drives, smart play calling, north to south, not east to west. Just smart, clean football. Don't be outcoached by Andy Reid. Don't be outplayed by Patrick Mahomes. And just win the game. That's all we're asking for. Tua, if you want that contract, if you want to instill confidence, I understand that you won the passing title because you had the most passing yards this year. And I understand he has very good, stats. But at the end of the day, the stats mean nothing if you can't win the games that matter. And I said the same thing for Justin Herbert, and I'm saying the same thing for Tua Tagovailoa. Justin Herbert broke records his rookie year. What did that equate to? Nothing. Tua Tagovailoa had a great year this year. He had great passing stats. If we lose this game and we lost the past 3 games, what does that equate to? Nothing. We need to win this game. We need a smart game, not only out of Tua, but out of the defense, the offense. We need good catching out of Tyreek Hill. We need a smart coached game out of Mike McDaniel. We need a smart coach game out of Vic Fangio, and even the special teams coach. Like, come on. Now, looking at this game, I am very hesitant to pick the Dolphins. I've picked the Dolphins, and they've lost the past 2 games. And this is different. I don't think the Dolphin team has ever played in this weather. The last 5 cold games, the last 2 were won by the away team. It was the Giants in Green Bay, and it was Seattle in, I don't remember where, but Minnesota. Seattle beat Minnesota, and the Giants beat Green Bay. Like, my brain is like, they're beat up. You have Houston, you have Irvin, you have Ingram, Agba as your pass rushers. They are beat up on defense. Can you stop Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes? But my heart's like, if it comes down to just running the ball, the Dolphins have this. I gotta go with my heart, man. This might be the last preview video I do. I might sound like a homer, but I'm picking the Dolphins. 17-14, Dolphins win. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be defensive game where we're stopping runs and offense. No one's offense can get it going because of the weather. It's a night game. I'm going Dolphins. 17-14. We win. We got our first playoff win for the first time in 20-plus years. Let's get it, baby. I will see you guys tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. The Dolphins heading to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs in the wild card round. Let's get this win. And I'll be dressed accordingly. I'm going to leave my window open and everything. Let's go. I'm ready for the cold. Miami, get ready for the cold. Like usual, stay classy. FN's up.